with it being the end of a decade, it honestly kind of feel like now is kind of the time think back, get nostalgic, get, maybe a little low quarter glasses on every now and again. That is why I am here. I am here to, of course, talk about the 10 games that have come out over the last decade and what they mean to me and which one is personally my favorite and honestly the games that have stuck with me all the years later. So with that, let's get to it, shall we? And for anyone who have hung around my live stream over on Twitch, once again, link in the description if you are interested in that, you would know one of my favorite genre is of course RPGs. A RPG kind of came out where we all knew it was going to be great. It kind of got delayed into oblivion in a lot of ways, but we finally got our hands on it back in 2016. And of course, I am talking about Persona 5. This game is pretty much, if you have never played it before, what happened if you take a life simulator, dating sim, a JRPG or turn-based JRPG and mix it with some kind of depressing material, and you pretty much will get Persona in a nutshell. Honestly, going into this, I have always been kind of a so-so Persona fan. I enjoy Persona 3 and 4, but never truly loved any of them to the same extent of some of my other favorite RPGs out there. The one thing that Persona 5 does so well is how the story began and how very quickly you integrate it into the rock, paper, scissors style of the combat, right along with the day-to-day stuff of leveling up your equipment, your guts, so on and so on. And honestly, the characters in this is probably some of the most lovable ones in Persona, to be totally honest here. Altogether, this game was very much everything I was hoping for, and in a lot of ways, a lot more than I was hoping for, which is the reason we have to start it lit with Persona 5, guys. And from there, we go to a game that was literally released last year, technically, which is a remake, one of my favorite games that was over on the PS3 360 generation that I absolutely love to death, and honestly, also from the same creator that brought up Persona, surprisingly here. And of course, I am talking about Catherine for Body, which came out in near the end of 2019, and honestly, playing it very quickly did everything I love from remakes. It added so much to the game while keeping the bait material of the game pretty much spot on with the 360 version, but by adding a new character, adding a whole bunch of new endings, and all together just how that game flowed with all the new content, it felt like it always belonged there in so many ways. And in return, the other thing I love about remakes and when a remake can literally make whatever game is remaking pretty much obsolete. Main reason why my favorite remake of all time is of course RE1 remake, and I feel like Catherine pretty much pull off the same thing here, and honestly adds so much to it that any more than they probably had any right to add to it, but they did and have made the game so much better for it. And honestly, if you have never played Catherine and you enjoy any type of puzzle game with a little bit of dating sim with supernatural, or if you like me and you're just a huge fan of the Twilight Zone, you need to check out Catherine because it's pretty much one of the best puzzle games that have been made in the decade, which is why it's on the list. And here is a game that I'm pretty sure will be on the list for a lot of people, because honestly, it's the best Castlevania game we ever got that not Castlevania. And of course, I am talking about Bloodborne for the PS4, which honestly, going into it, I knew it was going to be good because from Software games I have enjoyed going all the way back to the PS1 with Kingfield and all the way up to, where we are now. But Bloodborne honestly was a game that really stuck out, especially with the more gothic vibe over the more medieval vibe, and also tapping into like Cthulhu mythos in some ways. Actually added a very interesting twist to it all, and then the combat itself with being way more aggressive is honestly fantastic. And then with the weapons that you can get and the variety of weapons that may not be to the same level as some other From Software game, having enough to it to like like I said, honestly feel like what a 3D Castlevania game should have felt like. And honestly, everything about Bloodborne, maybe the DLC to the game itself, it's so rewarding, and the story is so intriguing. Like most From Software game, the only difference I feel like Kill, they did a much better job at least telling a bait story. So yeah, honestly, Bloodborne, if you have not played it, you probably need to, and hopefully we will see a Bloodborne 2 heal soon, now that Shadow Die Twice is out of the way, and we can finally figure out what is net for From Software. And now, here a game I honestly, when it came out, I remember it blowing up in some ways. I kind of got bored on it a little bit. I thought, like, I get the plot twist of it all. But any still playing it roughly 6 months to a year after the fact is honestly does so many interesting things, especially for the genre of visual novels. And of course, if you haven't already get it, I'm talking about Doki Doki Literature Club. And for anyone who have not played this, I highly recommend it, especially since it's free. And on top of that, it's a nice showcase for what the level of screwed up that hopefully we will see from the developer team going into the net project. And then on top of that, of just playing with the tropes of the genres they deal with. Honestly, it was one of them games that as I was playing it, I was more and more intrigued as it went along. And then the stuff they end up doing outside of the game, for anyone who have played it know what I'm talking about. The game honestly melted my mind in the best way possible, of like haven't really given me that vibe of rambling around trying to put everything together nearly as much as the game have done. And also outside of that, this is actually a really good visual novel. All the characters are likable when they likable and terrifying when they need to be. The game is probably, like I said, easily in my top 3 favorite visual novels of all time, period. And honestly, like I said, if you haven't played it, it's free, go play it. And now moving on to another one that will probably be on everybody's lip for the most part, is a game that I have been a huge fan of the source material. Any of the games, I've been a little slow on the uptake, mainly because the games are hella long, and who am I kidding? I play RPG. Well, what did 200 plus hours here? But yeah, I never really got around to playing a Witcher 3 Wild Hunt to, I believe it was the beginning to mid of last year, and actually doing a 100% playthrough of the game, which ended up being a little over 200 hours. Honestly, everything about the game, like the character, the writing, the side mission, how you go through the story and the universe of The Witcher is so fascinating. And honestly, the love and care that were put into the game is pretty much top notch, and it's a reason why everybody hyped for Cyberpunk, and that reason of how near perfect Witcher 3 was, especially with the history of that game leading up to the third one. Is the steps and literally jump of quality they did were literally mind-blowing in so many ways. And lucky enough, the game is literally on everything now: Switch, Xbox, PlayStation, PC. So if you haven't already played it, make sure you go check this out. And honestly, hopefully you got 200 plus hours to kill in it, because once you start, it's gonna be kinda hard to walk away. And now we get into a genre that is also pretty close and near to my heart, even if I don't get to play the genre all that much, mainly because I kind of feel like there is a lacking of the genre, or elite quality games in the genre of beat 'em up. And honestly, one of the best beat 'em up that have come out in the last decade is called Dragon Crown. Honestly, don't let the art style fool you here with it graduated character and a little more on the sexy side in a lot of ways for both genders. But yeah, Dragon Crown mixing the RPG knit with the beat 'em up with like the mix of what made like Golden Axe or the D&D beat 'em up like so good, and then adding so much replay value and like so much content to it that it just, honestly, I just locked myself into it during the PS3 version. And then with the remaster that came out on the PS4, I did it all over again. The game honestly is fantastic in co-op, fantastic in single player, and pretty much everything about it is what I love about beat 'em up, with a small little dash of RPGs to make it any more interesting. And honestly, it's just like playing the game really do feel like you're going on a D&D adventure, or a D&D like beat 'em up adventure, which we haven't seen a new game in that series in forever when it comes to the beat 'em up genre. And honestly, like everything about Dragon Crown is just something to admire, and something that you probably need to check out if you haven't already, especially if you've been playing any of the beat 'em up that have came out this year and got you interested in the genre. Dragon Crown is absolutely a game you need to go and get your hands on. Might it be the PS3 version or the remaster on PS4, and I believe it was on Xbox One. I might be wrong on that, but I know it leaked on PS4. So yeah, go play Dragon Crown and get you some buddies and have any more of a blast with the game. Now, coming back around to spending 200 plus hours, or in the case of this, 300 hours, since I ended up going crazy trying to platinum this thing, which I did, by the way. And honestly, this is probably one of the last games that a little company that may or may not had a game with 76 in the title have ever put out, and honestly keep putting it out. But yeah, like we playing Skyrim recently on the PS4, going for that platinum as I originally did. I get technically with 100% on the 360, and playing it with all the expansions that I never really got around to playing back in the day, because when Skyrim originally came out, after a couple hundred hours, I was burnt out by the time the expansion came out. So finally getting my hands on the expansion with the remaster, and yeah, the game is to this day one of them games that is, I feel like, so surprising in so many ways, because still so much content in the game that to this day, every time I play it, I'm constantly finding something new, constantly getting down the rabbit hole of unlocking places on the map, discovering stuff in dungeons. The story may or may not be so when you boil it down to just the main plot, but everything around that game is just so engrossing, and so much of getting you lost in it for weeks upon weeks upon weeks, or in the case of me, over a month trying to platinum it. And honestly, if by the time I got the platinum and 300 plus hours later that I was so done with the game, at the same time I probably will easily come back to it in a few months and do it all over again. Because honestly, Skyrim is one of them games that is infinitely replayable. And like I said, with everything randomly being spotted that you never seen before, keep that game so interesting. And even more so with the modding side of it. Everything about Skyrim, it might not be my favorite Elder Scrolls. Damn, it do a good job at being, what it is. And now we are going right back to a From Software game, because honestly, From Software have been pretty much hitting it out of the park this flat 10 years, and a little bit before that, with a called Demon Soul being in the early, what was that, 2009, I believe? Yeah, pretty much the next game after Demon Souls was pretty much what put them on the map for so many people, and for good reason. And of course, I am talking about Dark Souls 1. And Dark Souls, honestly, playing it and finally beating it so many years after the fact, is still probably, I would probably say, second favorite Dark Souls game. If Dark Souls 1 was probably easily the most superior in so many ways. And honestly, like, everything about that game is, I feel like, set that company in such a forward, like, greatness that they have become elite over here in America. And honestly, like, one of them games to this day is just like Skyrim, just like Bloodborne, is so replayable, and the combat is just so much fun in that game. And then all the secret areas and random throwaway content you may or may not ever see, it just honestly just so fascinating, the love and care that were put into that game, and how much, like, confidence From Software had in that game to put so much into it. So many of the players won't see it, but at the same time, so many people will actually seek it out as well. And honestly, it's like, with it being the beginning of the franchise, or, if we don't want to count From Software pack games of Demon Souls and Kingfield and whatnot, it did a fantastic job of setting the tone for pretty much everything From Software have done since then. And honestly, with this game being once again pretty much on everything now, thanks to the remaster, you have no excuse. Go play it, honestly. And now, as we are down to my lat 2, we are getting into some very, very interesting games for me. Games I absolutely love and grow my love any more so as the years have went on. And of course, my number 2 game as far as my favorite games of the decade is of course Bayonetta 2. Cause honestly, Bayonetta did so much for me with being the spiritual successor to the true Devil May Cry-ness. I guess you could say Devil May Cry back by quote, which, once again, you hung around my channel, you know my feelings on that one. But Bayonetta 2 is, at the time of release, I enjoyed it, but like I said, as the year went on, my love have grown any more so, to the point that I have technically been a speedrunner of Bayonetta 2 for the last few years. And honestly, it's one of the few games, actually probably the second game of all time, that I have loved to the extent of like, I'm gonna speedrun it and play the game hundreds and hundreds of times. And honestly, I have played it hundreds and hundreds of times. And that game to this day still do not get. Everything about that game is honestly fantastic. Might it be on the Wii U, might it be on the Switch, is one of the best action games out there, and honestly, in so many ways, still probably is the best, because I feel like no other game in that genre have any came close to the enjoyment, the depthness, and just the greatness that is Bayonetta 2. And honestly, hopefully thanks to the Switch success, and hopefully the success of Bayonetta 3, whenever we're gonna hear about that, hopefully that same strength keep heading into the next decade, and 10 years from now we'll be talking about how great Bayonetta 3 is. Hopefully. Because if anything, I get that always Bayonetta 2 as being pretty much a treasure, and honestly one of them games, no matter what, it brought me so much joy and so much like memories. It's just gonna be born into me forever. And now here we are at number 1, my favorite game of the last decade, hand down, which happened to come out at the very, very beginning of the decade in 2010, and honestly originally released by a complete luck and player with the wonderful people who were behind Project Rainfall. Actually got the game brought over here and honestly got the attention of everybody to get that done, because honestly Xenoblade Chronicles was one of them RPGs that we needed, because honestly it's not just a good RPG, it's literally one of the best RPGs of all time, period. Because this game did everything perfect. Might it be bringing in like the material system for Final Fantasy VII, might it be bringing in actually in-depth characters that you love, you care for, your story of the whole people being on top of dead gods, fighting with like, mecha robots and what that means, all the species and the political stuff of it all. Every bit of that game was nothing but perfection. It was honestly took everything I loved about RPG, and especially in that time period when RPG was in a very big slump in so many ways during the early 2000s and 10s, and honestly just showed everyone how to make an RPG and how to make character you truly care for and truly become so emotionally attached. Well, you experience all types of feelings throughout this game, since the game is not nearly as peppy as Chronicle 2, but that still don't stop it from being great. It honestly, with it down to earth, grounded character, with a little bit of comedy, but not too much. It's one of them RPG that you get invested in the character, you get invested in the story, and then you realize how the gameplay work, especially with the main character being able to see the future and how that work into combat. It's not gimmicky at all and actually so very helpful. And then on top of that, of just having the game literally push the original Wii to its limits. A miracle that game runs and play as well as it does, because it won flawlessly. And honestly, if you think, I'm not super excited for the Wii Master, well, I'm super excited for the Wii Master, because honestly, I am hoping with the release of the Wii Master that will justify more people playing that game, because honestly, this is one of them games, if you have any passing interest in RPGs, you need to play, because honestly, it is one of, if not the best RPGs of all time, period. And that is why it is my favorite game of this decade. So with that, my dudes, that is my list. Let me know your list below in the comments. And of course, make sure you do the like, favorite, subscribe, hit some bell, do what you're gonna do. And honestly, let me know what is your favorite game of the decade. And hopefully, what you hope your game gonna be for next decade as well. And you wanna see me, of course, play through the remaster of Xenoblade Chronicle. Of course, you can do so by coming on over to twitch.tv/PonyShow, where I stream every Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. So hopefully I will see you over there, my dudes. And I get with that, I will talk to you next time. See you, dudes. But I still totally understand, though. Ow, God, you stepped on the trap, didn't you?